Okay, so we're streaming live. Let's just check the stream, make sure everything's up and running. And yes, we are. We are currently live. So if you don't know who I am, my name's Tien, also known as Take Note. Let's make sure the mic's all connected perfectly, so we're good to go. If you know who I am, I'm Tien, also known as Take Note. I'm a full-time trader, full-time day trader. I execute my trades between the start of New York Open and 2 hours after that, 2.5 hours after that. So I should be done pretty much by 11:30, maybe 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. And what I'm gonna do this afternoon, well in the UK this afternoon, but New York, you're just waking up. What we're gonna do, we're gonna start with a pre-market analysis. This was our trade for yesterday. So if you wasn't with us yesterday, you would have seen that, yesterday was a bit of a messy day. We didn't take a loss. We went break even yesterday. So we're going to start with our usual daily pre-market analysis. And with our pre-market analysis, what we usually do, we just copy and paste this into our daily journal and we just update it so that we're working on the right side of the market. First thing I do want to state is we have important news tomorrow. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. we have FOMC funds rate, an expected cut, as well as we also have the market, the FOMC press conference at 6:30. So that's what's going to happen tomorrow. But if we just get straight into our pre-market analysis, we can see that the market is still definitely bullish. So we're trending, making higher highs and higher lows, which is perfect. So we're definitely still in an uptrend. We're targeting external highs. As we're at all-time highs now, there are no external highs. So we're just going to continue to target the highs of previous sessions. And what we will do as we get into this pre-market analysis, we will actually look at some of the conditions that we should be looking at, as well as areas that we'd want to position into, given that the market is in a bullish uptrend, and we'll identify our liquidity map. So first things first, what we want to identify is whether or not there's a fair value gap. There isn't particularly a fair value gap, however there is a gap right here. So this is a place where price could potentially come back to. So that's a gap on our chart. So I just leave that on there. We've got a opening gap, we've got an opening gap on there, slash fair value gap. So we'll leave that on there. We're gonna have a look and see if we've got any internal levels of liquidity. And we actually haven't got any internal levels of liquidity. However, we do have London session liquidity right here that swept the Asian session low. So we're also going to mark this level out, and we're going to mark that. And we're also going to write that down on here. We've also got session lows, so we've got London session lows, London session lows, and let's have a look and see if we've got previous days lows as well. Anywhere important for that. And previous days lows happens to be right where our gap is. So the reason why this is important, and I just want to state this out immediately, the reason why we're looking for the lows of the market, we're looking for liquidity at the lows, is because in an uptrend you want to look for liquidity at areas where the market is going to present a low. So for example, what this means is, if we're trending higher like this, if we're trending higher, each pullback is going to be made up of, and I'll show you this really quickly, each pullback is going to be made up of a smaller pullback. So within this pullback we should see levels of liquidity, and that's going to look like this. It's going to look like a come down and then we should see a sweep, and then price ends up making a higher high before it goes up. So that's why it's important, and I don't know why the markets, why this is so messy. But the point I'm trying to make is, the market comes down fractally. So in order for us to make a lower, for us to make a pullback, we would need to sweep liquidity, and that sweep of liquidity will likely look like something like this. It will look like a pullback, and then it will look like some sort of liquidity run, taking out these levels here before the market does eventually rally higher and go up. So it's a liquidity run right here, and that's why we look for these lows, because this is where we want to position. We want to position after the liquidity gets swept, and that's why we, in our pre-market analysis, we look for previous day's lows, and we also look for London session lows as well, or Asian session lows. But because Asian session was already taken, we don't need to look for Asian session today. We can happily just look for London session lows. So that's the point I'm trying to make there. Okay, we've gotten rid of that. Let's get back into the chart. Okay, so now we're going to look to see if, and this market is sort of rallying into the open. We've got about 30 minutes until the open. So what we're going to do now, we're going to identify whether or not the hourly and 4 hour is in confluence with the overall trend. So we already know that the trend is up for the day. We already know the trend is up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump into the 4 hour chart and see whether or not the 4 hours in an uptrend. And the 4 hour actually is in an uptrend. So because it's in an uptrend, we're happy to take trades in that direction. And the 1 hour is also in an uptrend. So this is all perfect. So if we're looking for positions into liquidity, which would be right here, the fact that external liquidity has been taken, and I'm going to point this out to you right here. This was our level of external liquidity. I'll just make this red for a moment. This level of external liquidity was taken, and although we're displacing higher, the rally that's being taken to displace higher hasn't actually resulted in a pullback into our area of liquidity. So what we could see today is we could see price actually come back down in order to close much lower. So rejected off a high here and come down and close below our external liquidity. So that's what I'm going to be looking at in session. The reason why I know this is because in the potential reversal scenario, which we know external liquidity has been taken, I'm going to say yes to that. In the potential that we have a reversal condition, we can take trades targeting intraday liquidity, and our intraday liquidity is going to be the one and only place down here, which is our London session low. So if we do take a trade from the highs, we would be permitted to shorten the market down, something like this. Obviously, given that this happens inside the what do you call it, inside our window of execution, which is between 1:30 and 3:30, maybe roughly 4 o'clock. So that's why it's important that we have a pre-market analysis, so that we know exactly what we're looking for going into the market. So because the hourly and the 4 hours in overall is in trend with the overall is in confluence with the overall trend, and I'm not exactly sure why that happened, but let's see if we can go back on there. Because the hourly and 4 hours in confluence with the overall trend, it's going to be quite hard to short the market. So it's going to be quite tough to short the overall market because the hourly and the 4 hour is in confluence with the overall trend. So what I do recommend doing is, because we're not going to have a trade signal today, because we're going to be unlikely to have a trade signal today that allows us to get into long trades and that allows us to short the market down into short trades, I probably recommend just sitting on your hands for today and waiting for the news to play out. and that's why we have a what I like to call a conflict of trade signals. We have a short signal setting up, as well as having long signals setting up. 4 hours trending higher, dailies trending higher, but we have this unfilled gap. So we're likely just going to trend a bit higher today, um, as price sets up for a decline probably tomorrow or the next. And I assume that's in confluence with the news. However, we can never ever really tell what's going to happen, so it's going to be quite a messy day. Nevertheless, stick around till after New York opens, and I'll let you know how I'm going to approach the markets going forward. Alright, so we've got about 4 minutes until market opens. Um, just to go over what my bias is for today. Market bias is still bullish, meaning that we're still in an uptrend, and the day is still quite bullish. However, we have seen external liquidity be taken, and that was taken right here. This line here is our external liquidity, so this could just be another sweep of liquidity up, and we could potentially see a reversal condition take place today. However, due to the fact that the hourly chart and the 4 hour chart is not currently in confluence, currently in confluence with the overall trend, I should say, it is unlikely that we'll see the market come down. Only if we get a red candle print on this candle here, then I will potentially be looking to short the market down. That will look something like this. It looks like we are beginning to get that set up, and I will be expecting an aggressive decline to shift market structure to the downside, and that will look something like this. And if that happens, then we could see an aggressive bearish movement. However, if that doesn't happen, then the hourly chart and the 4 hour chart will remain in an upward trend, and we are unlikely to see this upward movement peter off and reverse. So at this current moment in time, I'm looking for potential shorts into liquidity. However, if we don't get a red candle print, which it seems like the market is turning more bullish as we approach the open, if we don't get a red candle print at the open, then likely we're just not going to trade today in anticipation for tomorrow's news event, which is a FOMC statement. FOMC Fed funds rate is expected to get cut tomorrow, and we're expecting a press conference talking about more cuts as well. So that's what I'm looking at this current moment in time. We've got just about a minute left until the market opens, so we're gonna keep an eye on that, see what happens as the market opens. If we get some bearish movement, maybe in the next 15 minutes after this candle closes, if the candle closes aggressively red, then we can look to potentially position short. However, at this current moment in time, it seems like the market's just going to continue going higher. So I'll keep an eye on that. Usually traders they don't want to position into a news event, and I expect the same. So unless we get a red candle close, most likely investors aren't going to be selling their positions in anticipation of the news event, because cuts are expected. And as you can see, we've got some bullish momentum coming in, and it looks like we're just going to continue to rally higher. Alright, so we're going to keep an eye on this over the next 15 minutes, see if we do get a red candle close. And if we don't, we'll just expect the market to continue rallying higher and aggression. However, as I said, we don't expect institutions to try and position into a major news event, although this news event is highly anticipated and we already pretty much know what is expected tomorrow. Which is most likely going to be rate cuts. I wouldn't be surprised if institutions do position today, as rate cuts are pretty much baked into price. So we'll just keep an eye out, monitor what happens over the next 15 minutes, and if we get a red candle close, we might be able to position short in an attempt to see this gap close on the downside. And gold continues to fall off a cliff. We may have topped out for gold, so based on that, it's looking quite bearish for gold at this moment in time. Bitcoin doesn't seem to be doing much. However, we are up nearly 1% on the day. Um, but yeah, US30 continues to just rocket higher, and it seems like we did end up putting a low in for the week on Monday yesterday, which is what we attempted to position for. However, we ended up closing out at break even. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. Yep, so we're going to watch this over the next 15 minutes, see if this does confirm a red close. As I mentioned, our trade idea for today is a potential short into liquidity in an attempt to close the gap, and that is this gap right here. So if we do get a short, our first targets is going to be London session lows for one, and our second targets is going to be this gap right here. And then we'll be monitoring, if we do get that low, we'll be monitoring what happens at this level right here, because this is our external high. If we get an aggressive close inside of the gap or inside of external liquidity, that will actually confirm a potential decline, and a crash down into target these levels down here. So we could be looking at a potential crash, because if we do break below this level here, um, this liquidity level, if we get a close below this level of liquidity, or this pool of liquidity, I should say, all the liquidity that's being pulled around this area, if we get a close below it, that will signal a double top from where we currently are, and that will indicate further decline, which could be as low as, bear with me one moment, which could be as low as, so that's going to be from here, from the neckline down. So we would expect that to be roughly around this much, and corresponds perfectly with this order block right here. So I've been monitoring this order block for quite some time as well, because this order block was not filled. This is where we want price to come to as well. So we will be looking for this area if we do get a decline. However, at this current moment in time, it looks like we're getting biased, step back in. So we'll just keep our eye on that over the next over the next 10 minutes while we're waiting a 15-minute candle to close. And if we do get some indication that price is going to go lower, you may potentially join it. However, as I mentioned already, we have news tomorrow, so there's a potential we just don't have a trade today, in anticipation for tomorrow's news event, which is the Fed funds rate decision. We'll keep our eye on that. All right, so we're about 8 minutes into New York session. Um, you've got a potential trade idea, which is this trade idea right here. You've got potential shorts into liquidity to close the gap. That's based on external liquidity already been taken, and this allows us to take a trade targeting intraday liquidity, um, as long as it has a good risk to reward. So as you can see, we're starting to come down. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna wait, give it another couple of minutes, and then as we approach the last 5 minutes, I'm going to look to get positioned into the market short. And the reason I'm shorting the market down is because I want to try and position at the highs in an attempt to catch a market crash down. So if the market does come down from here to close this gap, I'll take partial positions off in the gap, and then I'll let the remainder target this liquidity pool down here. So as you can see, this is nearly 2,000, maybe 3,000 pips. So I'm aiming to catch the entire drop of this move, taking partials on the way down. Um, so if we take a look, we have this trade idea, and I'm looking to execute within the next 5 minutes. Um, let's just keep an eye on that, see how that plays out. Alright, so it's extremely important that we wait for the candle to close before we get positioned. Market tends to get manipulated by institutions. They want to see traders get into positions in the direction before the market closes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wait until the last probably minute or so before I do get positioned and still have my stop in a reasonable place. So we're going to keep our eye on this. As I said, this is a massive trade, so there is no rush to get in to the position without having the data to back it up. So as I said already, I'm going to wait until the market closes, until the candle closes, which is within the next 3.5 minutes. Remember, we want to see this candle. Um, we want to see the 4 hour candle shift into a downtrend, and we want to also see the hourly candle shift into a downtrend. So that's why this 15-minute candle is going to be the catalyst for the decline, hopefully. So we're waiting for this to confirm, and it's most likely going to close red from this point. But we want to position at the close of the candle just to make sure we get the best entry based on the data. So that's what we're looking out for. Just going to give it a couple more minutes, wait for it to actually take place. Don't want to rush this. Wait for the data to confirm. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit of a bounce here because people are rushing it to short the market down. If we don't bounce, it doesn't really matter. My stop loss should still protect me regardless. Um, so yeah, that's what I'm waiting to see. It does seem quite aggressive. All the buyers just seem to be getting absorbed. However, we'll keep our eye on this. We've got just over a minute left. till the candle closes, and when the candle does close, we'll keep our eye on the 4-hour and the hourly to see if we do get a shift. And we're starting to get some aggressive movement down on the hourly, on the 15 as well. We're starting to see some aggressive movement. The 15-minute candle has dropped basically 200 points from the high that it made. However, we're still waiting to see where this candle closes. So I've got my MT5 open and I'm waiting to execute at the close of the candle. Less than a minute left. We should see quite a lot of sellers coming at this point, as this red candle is pretty much confirmed. However, we'll wait for the last 30 seconds of the candle. Okay, we're just entering the last 30 seconds, so I'm going to position short now. Let's see if we get any. Let's see if we get any bounce on the next candle. Do we get a little bit of a bounce? We do. We're going to get a little bit of a bounce on this candle. Is it going to get sold straight down? Seems like it is, and I've officially gotten short. And I'll put my stops in place, and we should see an aggressive decline from here. Keeping my eye on this, we'll see how aggressive we do get this decline to be. As I mentioned already, we want to see this decline shift market structure on the 4-hour chart and shift market structure on the hourly chart as well to get us to turn bearish, and then hopefully close the gap as well. So that's what we're looking to see today. We're looking for quite a substantial decline. Seems like we do have a little bit of buy-in taking place, which isn't always great. However, we do have 15 minutes for the candle to close, so we'll see what happens over the time period. Does seem like every time we go down, it just gets brought back up, but we'll keep our eye on this. I've got about 100 points stop loss from the entry, so my stop is around here. So I am relatively comfy in the entry. Our first target is going to be here. It's a 2-to-1 trade. However, we are targeting our gap, so that's where we're looking for price to go. So we want price to shift market structure and come down and close the gap. And it seems like every time we go down, we're getting bought back up, which doesn't look great. However, the sellers seem to be pushing price down quite aggressively. So we're going to keep our eye on this. We'll see if this does continue to decline aggressively. As I said already, this could be a major crash. If everything plays out correctly, we should see this market crash from here. Should be roughly around 2,000 points. If we do crash, we should see a 2,000 point decline. And the reason why I say 2,000 points is because we're expecting price to decline. We're or probably more than 2,000 points. Around 3,000 points is what we're expecting. So this is the trade idea. Well, we just need to make sure the sellers don't come back in, the buyers don't come back in and buy the market back up. So we will be watching. The first level we'll watch is our London session low. That's where we should get to. That should be the most um, likely target for the day. And then after that, we can start looking at our lower levels. Um, and when we do approach our London session low, which is down here, we should also see price pretty much dump aggressively through it, and it should further a decline that shifts market structure on the 4 hour chart and on the hourly chart. So we're gonna keep an eye out on this trade, see what happens. Alright, so it's not looking great. Looks like we're just going to continue to rally up. Yeah, That's unfortunate. We'll keep our eye on it, but it looks like we're starting to see some bullish momentum come back into this market. We'll see what happens at this potential order block, but let's keep our eye on it. Because if we don't get a decline from here, then we are most likely going to go and hit our stop loss. So let's see if we do get some momentum coming. So now we need to see price pretty much decline aggressively, and it doesn't look like we're getting that at all. We've got about 5 minutes left until the hourly chart closes, the hourly candle closes. So if we were going to see any bearish momentum coming, it would need to come in right about now. And it just doesn't seem to be coming in, unfortunately. We are going to keep our eye on this, see what happens as we approach the close of the hourly candle. We're going to need to see some sellers come in at this moment to try and push the market down. However, it does seem like there's buyers at every level, so it's not looking great at this moment in time. However, we will keep our eye on it, and there it goes. There we see the buyers come in and just completely push the market back up. It is relatively unfortunate that we take a loss today. However, let's see if we can get a miracle candle. And the miracle candles, when I say the last 5 minutes, it just completely switches. Let's see if we get that miracle candle we're looking for. Has to be a lot of aggressive sellers, and no, we don't. Does seem like we're still gonna get some buy. We're gonna get some more buyers come in. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a second position closer to the order block, and that is right up here. If I do get another opportunity to get short, it's gonna be up here. And this is my final trade for the day. If we do tap into that level, I will look to get short again. You can see the volatility starting to come in. It's unfortunate that I was wicked out, isn't it? So I'm gonna add another position here. I'm gonna put my stop loss 100 pips up again. This is my final position for the day, and we need this candle to close red to confirm aggressive bearish momentum from where we are. And that is around here. That's my entry. And we got 100 pips stop loss. The first trade just seemed like a wick to get outside the position. So if we do see sellers come in, it should be quite aggressive. doesn't seem like we're getting the type of selling that we're looking for, but we will monitor this over the next minute, as the last minute should have the most aggressive selling come in. Um, so we'll keep our eye on this. Starting to see some selling coming in, but is it going to be the type that we're looking for? We need it to be quite aggressive. It is coming in slowly. And at the bare minimum, we want a red candle print on the 15. And it does seem like we're having some buyers come in. So let's watch what happens over the last 10 seconds of this candle. No, it's not as aggressive as we wanted. Let's see if this candle, newly open candle, will give us some bearish momentum. If it does, then it should. We could still see the type of trade that we're looking for. If it does. But it would somewhat need to be a violent decline from here. Yeah, it doesn't seem like we're going to get the sort of violent decline that we're looking for today. Unfortunately, it seems like we've got quite a lot of bulls in the market at the moment. Alright, we need to see some bearishness coming right around now. It's not looking horrible, but we want to see an engulfing candle on the 15 at the bare minimum to confirm the bearish decline. We are in a little bit of profit, but nothing to scream from the rooftops about. Um, but we want to see this engulf to the downside and absolutely collapse. This is where the selling should really take hold, especially if this is ahead of the news event tomorrow, and especially if institutions are looking to exit their positions before the news event. So this is where we should see the decline, and we're starting to see slight acceleration. But is it going to be the type that actually catalyzes, becomes a catalyst for what I'd like to call a stock market crash? And the crash should be around five to maybe 10%. So is this going to be the catalyst for it? Let's keep our eye on this, see what happens. Alright, so we've got about 5 minutes left, less than 5 minutes, and we need to see this market push down, and it just doesn't seem like it at this current moment in time. We'll keep on watching it, but as I said already, we need an engulfing candle. So if we don't get an engulfing candle within the next 5 minutes, it's just not gonna be the sort of crash that we've been anticipating with this trade. Um, we could actually squeeze higher, um, based on that. So the next 5 minutes are going to be extremely important. So we'll keep our eye on this. But um, if you did want to, if you're positioning this trade along with me, I'd probably recommend reducing some of your size at the moment in time. We would have wanted to see this trade already begin to swing in our direction, and the fact that we're not means that we should probably reduce risk. So we're going to keep our eye on it. As I said already, we're going to keep on watching. But yeah, it doesn't look great at this moment in time. But we do have 3.5 minutes, so let's keep watching. We got a minute 30 left, and we're still seeing buyers stay at this level, so it's not looking great. However, you could see a massive dump in the last minute as institutions want to force the hand. So we'll keep our eye on this, but as I said, cut your risk at this point. We don't want to rely on a final second or final minute to make the decision. We want to already be in the direction the market's going. I'm not saying it's impossible for the market to drop at this point, but you don't want to see buyers still in the game at this point. We want to see buyers already out and scared out of the markets prior to the candle close. However, last 40 seconds, let's see whether or not it does turn red or not. Alright, so we are starting to see some sellers come in. Is it going to engulf the way we want it to? Let's see, 2 seconds. Not quite, but it's good enough. Let's see how this candle plays out. Is this going to be an engulf to the downside? Or are we going to recover some of this? Let's watch it. But we are on track for further downward pressure. Let's just see how this plays out. Yeah, so as I said, it does look quite bullish. It's quite frustrating as we did. Um, Obviously, it's not time to completely exit. I said cut your positions earlier. It's not time to completely exit as we are still expecting a red candle to be printed. However, this isn't great. Like we're starting to see a lot of buyers come in now, and that's just not great, is it? But we will continue to watch this. For whatever reason, if we do see this come back down and reject this level, and I'm talking about this 740 level, that would be extremely bearish, and that would be the exact candle that we're looking out for. So we're going to watch this 740 level like a hawk. We are coming back down into profit, so this is the main level that we want to watch. And any decline from here should be aggressive to sweep and target our London session lows, and then further a catalyst decline, a waterfall catalyst decline into shifting us into a bearish market structure. So that's what we're watching. The market's just so aggressively bullish that it just doesn't seem like we're gonna go down. So I'm guessing everyone's gonna start closing out their shorts, and the market is going to absolutely skyrocket. I keep this position locked in now, just to follow the rules. But it seems like we're going to be down 2R today. We got less than a minute. We just over a minute until the candle closes. 15-minute candle. Um, and really, we wanted to see this candle close red. Um, but considering there's just so much buyers, it seems like we're about to engulf to the upside and continue an aggressive bullish move. Unless we get a miracle candle at this point, it seems like it's pretty much done. We've got 30 seconds left. Is there a chance of a miracle candle? Just doesn't seem like it. As you can see, there's just so much buyers in at this level. You can't even get the following candle to even slightly turn red. That indicates to me that we're about to take off. We're not completely out of the woods, but if we can get a red candle close, an aggressive red candle close, then we can see this continue to go down. But we just can't get this candle to turn red, and if we can't turn red, then we can't go down it because red candles print at red candle prints mean the market's going down. So if we can't even get the candle to go red, then we got no chance of going down, and we're just gonna go hit our stop loss. And yeah, it just seems like we're gonna go target our stop. What's crazy is I wanted to position long yesterday. I did attempt to position long yesterday, but I made a mistake of not knowing when the market opens. Time went forward in the UK, so that kind of threw me off. And I came to the session at 2:30 when I should have come to the session at 1:30, and I missed the optimal position. However, let's see if we do get this to turn red, and let's see if we do get some bearish movement. Yeah, we've seen the buyers coming in again, so it doesn't look good at all. Maybe it's like we're about to just sweep out our stop loss. Can we get some aggressive selling here? Aggressive selling means a red candle. We're not even able to turn the candle slightly red. It's not good at all. That that is an indication of a lot of buyers. Can we get this to turn even slightly red to indicate there's some sellers here? No, that's the second time we failed to even turn slightly red. Can we do it this time? Not even moderately. And there they are. There come the buyers. Can we get a bounce off our order block maybe to turn red? And if we can't get a bounce off the order block to turn red, then we've got no chance of going down. No, the buyers come straight back in. Alright, I'm done for the day. 2 back-to-back losses. Don't really know what to make of that. Just didn't see any sellers come in at all. It just doesn't make any sense, bro. But I guess that's just the game for the day. Don't trade day before news. But yeah, I'm done. Catch you guys tomorrow. Live every day, 8:30